You know what I need? You know what I want? I need the old Stone Cold. Okay, that's the last time I try to impersonate Vince, no matter how horribly it was. I'm John Renton with the retro review of WWE Raw from July 16, 2001. But yes, the old Stone Cold was the main theme here, because commentary, cameramen, goddamn, I think the rats in the fucking bowels of the building were talking about the old Stone Cold. And this is the Go Home Raw for the Invasion pay-per-view. And I'm continuing this trek through the Invasion pay-per-view, lineup and, the television shows and all that until the Raw after Survivor Series 2001. And then we'll see if I maybe want to review the rest of the shows all the way through 2001, including Vengeance 2001. I said 2001 so many goddamn times, it's like HAL 9000 has taken over. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. But Vengeance 2001 was pretty good. But before we get to Vengeance 2001, I gotta get to Invasion, and I actually gotta get through the SmackDown after this one. So, this show, man, that pop for Austin at the end. Holy fucking shit. That was the main reason why this show is so memorable. It's in Providence, Rhode Island. First, we have recaps of Vince on SmackDown. I need the old Stone Cold. And then we cut to the Friendly Tap, run by Tim White. Really feel bad for Tim White because he was a referee that he had that bump in, I believe it was that Jericho Triple H Hell in a Cell match, and he suffered a shoulder injury, and then he had another injury that I believe he re-aggravated the same thing and actually made it worse, and he had to stop refereeing, but they kept him on the payroll. Good for them, because he had done a lot of really great things for the company, like being friends with Andre. So anyway, Austin's drinking alone while Deborah's just over there hopefully avoiding, his fists of fury. He did it, and I'm a little bit annoyed that the A&E biography, ignored that. Because they turned the Savage part into a hit piece, but we just ignore the fact that Austin, as great as he was, did at least hit Deborah. And possibly his first wife. Why else would she go all the way to England? Anyway, enough speculation right there. So we get JR and Cole welcoming us, and I will say this is back when Michael Cole was tolerable, but I was also 20 years old, so I probably didn't realize just how shit he was at commentary. So we're starting with a Spike Dudley promo. And I got nothing against Spike Dudley. I got what they were doing by the end, but this went on a little bit. Here's Molly Holly. Young love. You will learn to be cynical like me, you jackass, from a show from 20 years ago, and this was just a love angle. They weren't even together. I think I love you, so what is Spike so afraid of? I'm afraid he's afraid of a love there is no cure for, and horribly butchered that song, so let's move on. He has a rose for her, and then Molly wants to give him something, but she can't give it to him here. Oh, thank you, everybody, good night. And they go to leave, and then here's Heyman. By the way, Spike still is on crutches because he has a broken foot, or at least a broken bone in his lower leg. I want to let you know that before this gets out of hand, that it's time for you to come back to ECW. I made you there. You did really well for me. I didn't pay you very well. Heyman didn't say that, but he didn't pay a lot of talent very well by the end. And Spike is grateful, but he's staying with Molly. Heyman runs down Molly, and basically, Spike gets upset. He bows up. The Dudleys show up, and then mocks both Spike and Molly. And then they beat up Spike, tie him up in the ropes, and then powerbomb Molly Holly through a table. And Molly was willing to do just about everything. Actually, she fucking put her hair on the goddamn line to get the women's championship on the Mania 20 card. So that shows her dedication to wrestling. But yeah, this was fine. I just feel like they kind of let their foot off the gas once WCW went out of business in this Invasion angle. While it had some peaks, it also had a lot of issues. So then, the EMTs are instantly there. It's like they said, hey, we're going to do something really stupid, but don't come out and stop us until we put this woman through a table. What? Okay, we'll do that. So then Angle tells Vince that he wants to be the leader of Team WWF. And Vince wants to know where Austin is. It's at the Friendly Tap. So he goes there because it's literally like 15 minutes away, I believe. So we get Farouk with Bradshaw versus Palumbo with O'Hare. It was all right. We get a brawl outside. The ref gets distracted. Jungle kick because Chuck Palumbo, despite not being, being the jungle guy anymore that he was on WCW Saturday Night, they used to call it the jungle kick, so why not fucking call it that? And he gets a victory in a couple minutes. And Angle talks to Brooklyn Brawler, who's just an agent, and he says, I forget what he called him, but it was, just Angle being hilarious. And then Raven shows up and says, there's nothing about you that's extreme. And Angle says, oh yeah. And Raven says, well, You want to have a match? Let's have an ECW rules match. Well, the ECW doesn't rule. The WWF rules, pal. Why that was funny, I don't know. But Mike Awesome with Lance Storm. Lance Storm cuts a promo on Edge and Christian, and they cut him off, and then they cut a promo. They, basically mocked both of them, and then we get Mike Awesome versus Edge, and Storm and Christian are in the respective corners. We get interference, and Christian gets stopped from trying to help, and then you get a super kick from Lance. Mike Awesome gets the victory, and there you go. So after losing the Hardcore Championship, he gets this victory here over the King of the Ring winner. I mean, granted, it was with interference, but still. And then Jericho interrupts Stephanie and Booker and says, ECW, it's fitting that you're the leader of ECW because it's called Every Customer Welcome. Because he's still going with the disgusting, brutal, bottom-feeding trash bag. Ho! So anyway, why I said the Duggan line like that, I have no idea. And he says, you consider yourself the queen of hardcore, but movies don't count. Booker gets upset and says, you can't talk to her like that. Let's have a match. Jericho says, okay, put the WCW championship on the line. All right, I'll do that. Just make matches willy-nilly. Some things never change in 20 years. So Tajiri is with Regal, and basically he's talking a little bit. I mean, and Regal and him are doing some comedy, and then we go to Shane and Stephanie and Heyman, and well, they're talking about Team WCW, or Team Alliance, because it's WCW and ECW. Booker, DDP, Dudleys, and Rhino. And there you go. That's pretty much the team right there. We cut to Austin and Deborah, and Vince comes to talk to Austin. No dice. Can't get him to come back. He didn't roll the dice because he did not learn from Reno in WCW. Man, they kind of had some with that guy, and then they didn't know what they were doing because last year WCW was a mess. I know because I retro-reviewed it. Taz versus Regal with Tajiri, who joins commentary, and Tajiri has an ECW shirt. Oh my god, what is it? It's a ruse. And he kicks Taz, or he sprays mist on the shirt, kicks Taz, gets the tarantula on, so it's a DQ. So technically the Alliance are up 3-0, but they got one over on Taz. And then DDP and Rhino talk about what's going to go down and against Taker and Kane. And he says, hey, I have this unedited footage of Sarah, so go get the Alliance locker room and we're going to watch this. The Best of Sarah VHS. Remember VHS? I'm not talking about the anthology horror series. Tapes. Man, I used to have a VHS DVD combo. Like, kind of like VCR, the VCR thing. Like, what a Blu-ray player or 4K player is now. Yeah, that's how old I am. Anyway, Tim White tells Austin, I know you do the right thing. Puts his hand on Austin's shoulder, and Austin looked at him like he was Deborah. Okay, that's enough jokes about that for now. Booker with Shane McMahon versus Jericho for the WCW title. Nick Patrick was the ref. The crowd was hot and into it at first, and the pace was good. And then Nick Patrick, he fakes a leg injury because Booker is about to tap out to the walls of Jericho, and then Earl Hebner runs in and tries to make it official, and he's about to do this, and Shane stops him, and then he gets glommed, and we get a whole thing in a quick roll-up and a quick count, 1, 2, 3. That damn roll-up's so devastating. And then Terry and Saturn and Moppy are talking, and because Saturn was in ECW, Heyman's trying to talk to him, and because Saturn has been hit in the head and beat up a job guy and now has had too many concussions, hey, we take care of our talents in ECW. We would make sure you're okay. Yeah, sure. Okay. Oh, okay, Heyman. I believe you. I don't believe you. And he mentioned something about sausages. Saturn does, that is. And that was it. I mean, it was Saturn trying to do comedy. Man, they really did Saturn wrong here. Angle versus Raven, ECW rules match. Angle jump starts. I mean, there were some weapon shots, and Raven got in a couple shots, but we got head shots, which I'm glad they don't do anymore. Angle slam, ankle lock for the win, a choke out, then armbar, because Angle's trying to prove that he's aggressive. He can be aggressive, be aggressive, and and become the leader of Team WWF. And then Canyon comes out and he gets laid out. Incredible, and somebody else, I don't remember if it was Lance Storm or who it was. No, Stasiak. It was Stasiak. Sorry, this stuff happened so fast. They were like, nope, we're not even going to do that. And Stasiak was like, I remember what happened in Angle's WWE pay-per-view debut, because it was Stasiak wrestling him as Meat, and then he left and went to WCW. Really, really weird. Really weird how that happened. And Then Austin is basically playing pool right after that. And then we get the Hardys versus the Dudleys. And look, they've had better matches. This was a quick TV match. The crowd was at least hot. And commentary kept mentioning the old Stone Cold. And then RVD runs down and helps Devon win by holding his hands on the rope. And then the crowd pops for RVD. No matter how much they tried to make him a heel, it wasn't going to fucking work. However you fucking feel about RVD, I appreciate his athleticism, but honestly, he blew a lot of chances because he wanted to be his own person, which I respect, but he should have never been allowed to be the WWE champion. And then it's basically him, kind of getting in Jeff's face and everything, and it's going to be Invasion for the Hardcore Championship. Vince basically says that Austin's not going to make it. The APA is like, well, we're all going to make it. Yep, we're going to make it some more. And let's have a frickin', town hall meeting in, catering room. The Alliance are talking, they're hyping up and everything. It's like, there's no going back. There's no turning back. Shane and Stephanie say, Shane and Heyman say stuff. Stephanie doesn't really say anything because Stephanie's always been kind of shit on promos. And then we get the WWE Town Hall. It's about time that we get knee deep in someone's ass. Bradshaw said that. Yes, mister, I'm going to soap up people in the shower just to antagonize them and rib them. Whatever. So, I'm not against anybody, having some fun horseplay, but maybe don't, I don't know, try to antagonize people like that and be a piece of shit. But Bradshaw's always been a piece of shit. And even though he was a fine WWE champion, the only reason he was, not because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays, but because SmackDown was kind of going into the shitter at that point. Vince then goes rah, rah, and then Taker's like, well, I've had it with Austin. I've had it hearing about this. There's no shame in getting your ass kicked if you fight back, but there's plenty of shame in not fighting at all. Suddenly, Freddie Blassie in a wheelchair, and I think he was like 2 years from passing, so naturally in his 80s he was going to look like that, but he even stood up. And that was inspiring. That was really cool shit. One of, if not the last appearance on WWE programming of Freddie Blassie. I know they had him in the WrestleMania intro for WrestleMania 17, maybe for 18 as well. I don't quite remember. I think this was the last appearance for him, this particular episode. But Freddie Blassie, one of the best of all time. Great wrestler all over the world. Great manager, Ayatollah Blassie. God, he was so easy to hate. God, he was so... Barely really nice guy. Barely for people that actually met, fans are as old as me, that met him at some meet and greets. Apparently he was really nice. So anyway, Austin sees this and leaves. He's like, okay, I'm going back. And the crowd pops. We get Trish versus Terry. Follow that, ladies. And because this was hyping up Trish and Lita having a bra and panties tag match against Stacey and Tori, after Trish wins with the Strats faction, she tries to strip off Terry's flesh-toned garb. And then Tori and Stacey run down, glom her, and then that's pretty much it right there. Lita runs down. We get we get the stripped stuff, and we get a pop because lady bits. Am I right? DDP and Rhino versus Kane and Undertaker. The crowd was alive, and the match was just a backdrop for everybody to suddenly run out after a few minutes. Alliance members start running out, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it because I actually took video and I put this up on, I took it on my phone, so it's not really the best quality, even though I turned the volume up, but there's Alliance all over, outside the ring, or outside the arena, just inside the arena, and in the ring, and WWE superstars are battling. I'm going back and forth between WWE and WWF, but it is what it is. Austin shows up in his truck. The crowd pops. Like, you can hear it, even with the fact that it's just outside. You can hear how great the audio is. He's got a tire iron, or pool cue, actually, and he's just beating everybody. It would have been funnier if he had a tire iron. A crowbar. Hit Devin Storm with somebody. Or hit somebody with Devin Storm. Moving on. He does that, lays a few people out. And then Edge and Christian are getting glummed, I think, by Helms and Storm. I don't remember if it's Storm or not. And they get laid out. And the instant the crowd is chanting Austin. It is building. It is building. That glass breaks. I thought the roof was going to go into space. They launched that segment into another level. It was the old Stone Cold. He He was talking. He just laid out everybody. Just stunner, 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 stunner. It was just all over the place. He was beating people left and right like they were Deborah. Okay, I said I was done with that, but I wasn't. Beat everybody up, and then Team WWF, they're all aligned, they're all this, and they're all ready and everything. And then we cut to Shane and Stephanie stopping Freddie Blassie from being pushed by Brooklyn Brawler to his car, where I imagined he was being driven at that point. It says, you and the WWF have a lot in common. You're both about to die. As much as I knocked Stephanie, I imagine that really tore her up to say that. I imagine it did, because she knew, even as stupid as Stephanie can be, she knew how much that, Freddie meant to Vince, her dad. Yeah, that was particularly haunting. Like, I know Freddie took it in stride, given all the shit that he did, but I was just like, let's talk about shit that didn't age well. But yeah, this is pretty memorable. But that pop for Austin, insane. One of the biggest pops that Austin got in his career. Absolutely just mind-blowing. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.